Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, proudly brought to you by Pat and George from Mortgage Chase SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We're here for NRL Supercoach Round 15, a week that was meant to be a nice little reprieve from the major buy rounds. It was meant to be an easy week to get 17 and good plays. Our squads were deep. It has turned into everything but that. It is like there's players dropping like flies. Here to chat through it with us is a bloke who... He got his head on camera early in the year and his ego's gone through the roof, and nowadays he just decides when he wants to join the podcast and when he doesn't. It's the Spy. Spy, nice of you to show up, mate.
Thanks, mate. Been a bit crook actually the last couple of weeks, so sorry about that.
It hasn't.
I know, it's going around, but certainly not enough to slow me up in the lead up to Croak's 300th on Friday night. I've actually just been down at the park kicking a few conversions in the lead up, so it's been good. And the Supercoach boys are absolutely flying into 5,000th, so... I'm coming for you, mate, and the sledge has been noted. I'll think this is your head when I knock one over Friday morning.
If you were kicking goals with that deflated football, I'll give the game up.
I can goal kick.
Also with us today, a special guest making her debut on the SC Playbook podcast from Bloke in a Bar Studios. It is Jelisa Apps, famous for Channel 10 reporting, SEN radio alongside the great Jimmy Smith, Cricket Unfiltered podcast, I believe, and... loves a Supercoach. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. I just want to know, how many people did you go through before you got to me?
No. You told you,
and you were like, all right, well, we're gonna have to give her a crack.
I do. To be fair, of a Monday afternoon, we do the bloke potty in here, and I go, I've got to get ready for the show tomorrow, and I go, all right, go through the regulars, gone, and then I'm like. Hit you up for a few times earlier on in the season, and he said, no, got the Channel 10 duties till about 6 o'clock. So because we're recording a little later tonight, I said, no, you're on, so you're the first person I messaged.
Oh, I feel so privileged. And it's also all lined up with Croaks' 300th. It's a bit of an omen, isn't it?
So, Jelisa, you're the second biggest Jared Croker fan at this bar and also on the planet.
Yes.
Raiders diehard.
Yeah, love me some Croaks.
Yeah.
Right up there with Alan Tongue for me, and obviously Laurie Daly and Sam.
And Sam Williams.
Sam Williams, your brother.
Yeah, the reason it took so long to get you on the podcast because you're a big fan of Sam Williams, but you are actually Sam Williams' biggest fan.
Yeah, no, I am. I was sad when he gave it away.
I'd love to know what did you enjoy about Sam of all things, because I'm perplexed.
The good bloke vibes.
Okay.
And that's why you follow the Raiders, don't you? I mean, aside from the fact I genuinely do think we can win a premiership this year, and I'm starting to feel it more and more. But the good bloke vibes of the Raiders.
For sure. And that's it. Like, even though the fact that we're, is it the second longest drought in the competition?
Don't worry about it.
It's been long, but we're good blokes. We're a good club. So
good club.
You know what? We've got that. We're everyone's second favourite
We've got the community.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? Dead set, anyone can win the comp this year, so dare to dream, honestly.
No, I'm very serious about that.
Something's building.
I was actually talking about this with Justin Horrow the other day, and I said, well, no one would have thought that they could have won in 2019, and they came so close. And
exactly. Similar vibes a little bit, so we'll see, hey?
And Jelisa, most importantly, how's the Supercoach side going now? You're a few years into Supercoach.
This is my second season.
We won't put you down as an avid gun.
Chaotic.
Yeah, chaotic. You're a chaotic Supercoach, which is fantastic because we haven't had Desi Creek on the potty for a while, and he's a chaotic Supercoach as well. So how's the side tracking?
Well, I started off with so much hope. As most rugby league seasons start off for me in general. So I started off with so much hope, and then I really went badly in those first few weeks for various reasons. And then I just kind of cracked it with myself and looked away for a little bit, and now I'm repairing a lot of damage. Because you know what the annoying thing is? I mean, first of all, the fact that I turned away from it a while because I was losing says a lot about me as a person. But also now I look at who I actually had in the side and I'm like, I just wish I had given a bit more effort in the past, particularly with all the injuries that have damaged everyone else.
The classic, you picked them for a reason. 2 bad weeks gone. Rage
exactly. Yeah, I flicked a lot of people very quickly.
So you sacked all the blokes you were keen on. Then you fired yourself as head coach.
Fired myself.
Now you've hired yourself back. Is that it? And you're doing a rebuilding job?
Yes, and I did send you my team today because it needs a bit of work. So
I went through your team. Pretty good team. The one
You're lying.
the one that. In the sense
Good
that...
bloke vibes.
Yeah. In the sense that there were a few key trade-outs due to injured players, but also we're all in that boat this week. The one that did stand out for me and probably showed a bit of green-eyed bias...
Where's Turbo? No.
Harley Smith-Shields.
What's your problem with Harley?
Nothing as a bloke or a footballer. It was the first time I'd seen anyone with Harley Smith-Shields in their team.
Kept him for the round 14 bye. The tough mini bye.
Last week when you knew he was going to be bad.
That's just called looking ahead and a bit of vision.
I had a lot of faith in that bye.
Anyway, we'll sort through your team today and we'll get you back on track. The Cooma Stallions, 1,099 on the weekend into 2,525th overall. So getting there. What a just chaotic week of Supercoach. I started it, as you said, full of hope. I was like, I have a strong team. I knew that a stack of Supercoaches out there were short on numbers. I'm like, no, I've got numbers with one or two in store. And it was all going tremendously until Sunday evening, and I had this decision to loop Cody Walker's ton, like we all did. There was like a lot of people had, Dream Buller or Cody Walker or Jermaine Asako, vice captain, and they went, Nathan Cleary, coming off an Origin loss, looking for redemption. He was angry. Game against the Dragons, full strength Panthers, in Penrith, going, it's written for him to go huge. He sets up a try, 10 minutes into the game, you're like, here we go. And then the hammy goes.
So did you captain him?
I captained him.
Oh.
And my heart just sunk, along with a lot of others out there. But it went from going to be a very good weekend to a tick above average. So,
Yeah, I was the same. I invited the mate over, big Penrith fan. I'm like, come over, Cleary's on. Like, he's just lost Origin. Let's just enjoy this. He was whipping up a margarita out back. He's a chef. It's so good.
Nice.
I'm like, get over here, mate. And then Cleary did his hammy. What was happening? I just like, let's watch a movie or something.
Didn't he look so angry?
He was filthy.
Yeah.
He knew. He knew. So, yeah, broken hearts.
It was
all right.
actually funny. Ivan actually said today that they were relieved to hear the grade that it was because they thought it was going to be so much worse.
Okay, there you go. So
I've never heard someone say 6 weeks. That's a relief.
I'll take it. Yeah, interesting.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Anywho, guys, shout out to the SC Playbook Unlimited Group leaders. Patrick, coach of Daily Cherries, sitting third overall in Supercoach, killing it and leading our group. Second in our group is Raging Pole maybe, by James in fourth overall in Supercoach. So we're charging up that leaderboard and we want to see someone take that out. If you do enjoy the SC Playbook podcast, do us a favour, jump in and rate us wherever you listen to the podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify. Appreciate if you could leave a kind review on that. If you don't enjoy the podcast, don't like it, hate everyone on the panel, then just avoid it. Steer clear. We only want the good reviews.
Just send me something on Twitter.
Just something on Twitter. Guys, today's show, key takes from Team List Tuesday. It's negative. It's all negative. Disclaimer. It's all bad stuff. Halves conundrum will be the main topic today. Nathan Cleary gone. Dylan Brown possibly gone as well. It's just been thrown wide open. Where do we turn to? Hot topics. Is Jareem the Dream still a buy? Yes, he is. Another early disclaimer.
Scoop.
We are also round 15 trade and skipper plans, our listener questions. Let's get stuck into it. Team List Tuesday, Spy, David Fifita. I was so close to selling him last weekend on Saturday. I had him pinned as a sell for a while and I held off it just because of the uncertainty of the week. So that was the Saturday, and I didn't know if Tyron Peachy was going to play, which he didn't. I don't know if James Tedesco was going to back up, Nathan Cleary, all these players. So I'm like, you know what, he's an active number, he's a gun. Didn't sell him. Anyway, so be it. Copped a concussion in the 33 minutes he was on for his monstrous 16 points. He's out this week, not named. He now misses round 15. He now misses round 16 due to Origin. He'll miss round 19 due to Origin. Break even 149. Is he a sell?
Disclaimer, I sold him before Origin, so that was lovely. And then on the weekend...
And you're only 5,000.
I've made some good decisions. What's happening here? Must be a culture issue. And basically, I was watching the game, like, he'd probably come on after 20 or 30, and then he wasn't on at halftime. Like, okay, he's playing 40 minutes. I was still pretty worried. I'm like, he'll go mad. Of course he will. He still wasn't on. I'm like, this is awesome. You got 16 or something. Unbelievable. But I'm not convinced he's a sell because of all the other carnage we're about to get to. If you got the trades and you can do it, sure. But I just think there might be bigger problems. Titans play a lot of the games after Origin. It's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? Your thoughts?
I get that, but he misses, obviously, the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The one bonus is that backing up from Origin, the Titans do play the Sunday in round 17 and 20, so it's the maximum possible turnaround.
Yep.
But there's every chance that he either rests those games or he plays off the bench again. He dead set could play like a game and a half in the next 5 weeks for them.
I think my only issue with the sell is, do you have the trades to do it? Because you want him back. So if we're talking about Cleary, Dylan Brown, Fifita, they're all blokes you want back in. That's 6 trades straight away that you're using to get them back. Gone and back.
So I'll go a little bit early on one of the topics and what we're going to talk about there, and it's that all these players that haven't been, that are looming as sells now, Latrell Mitchell, David Fifita, Dylan Brown, who we'll get to more of shortly, I'm not too concerned because I've got a few trades, and so I did save a trade last week as well, but they're all still top dollar. So I'm like, they're all top dollar, and they're all, when they do return, whenever that might be, almost certainly going to drop some decent amount of cash. So I think in terms of bank, we're going to have bank.
Add bank. The other thing is you can get through round 16. You probably get through this round and round 16 with pretty unscathed and keep these guys potentially, or a few of them anyway. Then you've got to get through 17 and 18, of course. Round 19, you only need 13 players. So by that stage, maybe they're all back and you can hold on to 1 or 2 of these guys, maybe.
Yeah. Can you imagine he comes out after Origin 2 and gets named on the bench again? You're like, he could play 30 minutes. He could be like 600K.
You'd anticipate he would play 30, 40 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jelisa, what do you think?
I think he's probably, given that you've got so many players that you've got to save trades for, I think he's maybe... I understand what you're saying, that he's only maybe going to get some bench time, but I think there's other players where you're going to have to get rid of.
You have to.
Yeah.
And I suppose that is the other thing, because, let's say, Nathan Cleary is obviously a sell. He's like, 850 or 860K.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of cash in bank there. Dylan Brown, he's over 800K as well. If he is in fact a sell, lots of money there. Any Latrell Mitchell owners, I know you're a Latrell owner. If he's a sell, all these players, it's not like they've plummeted too much. So I get that in that maybe Dave Fifita, who, even if he does get benched come around 17 or, 18, whatever it might be, you could potentially hold. Anyway, AJ Brimson also back at the Titans. At the Canberra Raiders, Pasami Saulo has been benched. To be honest, that looked like a trap from the word go. Bit of an interesting one at the Raiders. You'll love this. Matty will love this as well. He's doing some work over there, so we'll leave him be. But bit of mail that Elliott Whitehead is 50-50 to sort of play this week. If he doesn't, I'm hearing they are strongly considering Matt Frawley to 6, Jack White into the back row.
Love it.
Oh, wow. That'd be revolutionary.
Yeah, completely revolutionary.
Yeah. I kind of like it.
Mainly just to see after 10 years of, be a good lock.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, he's got that big body. I mean, he's kind of made for it. So
I'd hate to be a forward pack taking him on in the middle. Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm kind of keen to see it.
Yeah, I sort of am too, yeah.
So, may or may not eventuate. And look, with Corey Howard-Naira also out for about a month, they've all of a sudden become a little bit short on back rows. Corey Hawes was being great there in the meantime, but obviously got Hutto Young will play one edge. They're probably looking at if Hutto does play Origin again as well. And, I mean, so anyway.
Good luck talking Jack out of that if you put it in his head for 1 week. Be like, get me in there.
The Raiders are an interesting one too, because if Horsburgh gets called up to the Origin, which he's really close to, I mean, that could also deplete them. And
maybe that's what Ricky's thinking. If this does occur, that could be about to lose Corey Horsburgh, could be about to lose Hudson Young again. Now, the Raiders don't play around 16, but they play around 19, but even backing up from Origin, maybe they're just thinking, we've got halves, but we're starting to run a little bit lighter on edge back rowers. So
make it happen, Sticky. Make it happen.
I'm a fan of Matt Frawley too.
He's the man.
I think he's good.
Yeah. So anyway, not far from locked in at this stage, but just do keep an eye for that if Elliott Whitehead isn't available this weekend. Spy, this is a significant one, and significant, but also in a week of all the other stuff going on, it's almost insignificant. Reuben Garrick named it bloody centre again.
Pain in the ass.
He's like, He's just so much better on the wing. Taking Supercoach bias out of this, because he's way better on the wing in Supercoach than he is at centre, he's just a better winger.
He is. He'll obviously get better at centre. I think Tommy will help his ball carries.
It's not saying he's bad at centre. I just think he's awesome on the wing.
From a Supercoach wise, I still think his chance to score some tries off Tommy. He'll probably get himself in the game a bit more than the last time he played centre. He didn't carry the ball much. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Does he... I mean... I would generally consider sitting him, but it's a matchup against the Dolphins at Brookvale Oval. So the Dolphins who have got injuries, suspensions, all sorts of things going on. So it's still a good matchup, so I'll be playing him. But an interesting one when it comes to sit v starts for teams that do have a bit of depth. At the Dolphins, Valence Tafade has been named on the bench. I thought that Brent Coley was in all $1 million to 1 to play this week with, I think it was a hammy injury left to fill with last week. So Tafade... just bad for owners playing on the bench because he's just going to get another low score in that. Tommy Gilbert is out long-term. Ray Stone named at lock, who the last 2 weeks he scored really well in bigger minutes. So one to keep an eye on there. Jack DeBellin out.
Gilbert's the season now.
Is he season?
Yeah. Yeah. So he has surgery on Monday.
Yeah.
So he actually, when he dislocated his, this is disgusting if anyone's like queasy. When he dislocated his shoulder, it actually fractured his bone. It like pulled a bit of the bone away. So
solid.
Yeah. So
I knew it was bad because he stopped in game. I'm like, that, I was watching like, that cannot be good.
Yeah.
Because he's the toughest man alive.
So he's the season.
There you go.
That sucks.
Yeah. Poor fella.
Poor old Finn starting. Yeah, can't take a trick at the moment.
No.
So, all right. Spy Ray Stone. He's played big minutes the last 2 weeks, but there have been injuries in game. Huge base the last 2 weeks. He's about 370k, so he does become an option. Obviously, the Dolphins don't play next week. 386k break-even 3. Last 2 weeks, scores of 54 and 64. Basically in the exact same minutes with the exact same base. Would you consider him?
I was about to say my gut says no until I looked at those stats. They're pretty good. We know he can tackle.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'd probably have to have a bit of a look at the Dolphins' rotation moving forward. Who's got to come back in? He's a maybe, I guess.
So
I think at this stage of the year, I'd probably prefer trying to get guns in where I can.
Well,
but if you need some cash,
with all this cash that is coming, I'm basically all in on points here. I'm happy with the cash in my side. I don't need more, so I'm just looking at keepers and points.
Yep, agree.
Jack DeBellin out following a concussion on the weekend, so he obviously looms as a potential sell as well if you can't cover him the next week or two. But also he will play around 19, you'd imagine, for the Dragons, so probably potentially a hold there. At the Bunnies, no Latrell Mitchell, no Cam Murray, but the injuries there aren't significant, but obviously they're trying to get back for Origin the following week. Saliva Havili is back in the side, which is great timing for them. So, Jelisa, you're a Latrell Mitchell owner. Misses this week. That sucks also, like missing these two amazing matchups for the Bunnies and for him, his high-scoring ceiling. Misses these 2 weeks, hopefully back for Origin the following week.
I mean, it also means when he goes into Origin, he hasn't played for a month.
Yeah, I chatted with Matty this prior to the show, and I'm okay with it for Latrell because he's not a big work rate player.
I think Latrell's the only player you would be okay with.
For sure. Like, he's not a big work rate player. Like, he probably only have a handful of runs and score off every single one of those runs anyway, and just to be impacted. Like, if he was playing fullback and he did need to get through more work, it'd be a concern, but goes in there, sticks on his head, should be right.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think he's probably he really is the only player where you could happily put him in. Probably on like 8 weeks no footy, you'd be like, he'd be fine.
Just pick him.
As long as he's fit.
Yeah.
That's it. Just on Trell, I didn't cop Fifita's score last weekend, but I was watching that Titans match and I owned Latrell as well.
Yeah.
Up until then, I ended up selling him. I was sitting there going, this could have been absolute carnage for Latrell in that game, and we missed one there.
Yeah.
Are you thinking sell now this week or tempted to hold?
I think I have to sell out. I mean, I need to. This is where I need your expertise because I need to sell, but I'm really torn about who I bring in.
Who's your other fullback at the moment?
Chance.
Oh, Chansey.
Yeah, good bloke vibes.
He is.
My team has a lot of good vibes.
A lot of
That's what
Raiders
we've got.
good bloke vibes in this side, isn't there? Yeah, he could be the pick of them as well.
I was, but Chance did really well for me at the start of the season, and I'm a big Chance fan. I wish we still had him at the Raiders, but that's another story.
Don't talk about it. It's not like we needed a fullback this year.
No.
Do you have Dream the Dream? Dream Buller? You don't, because
No,
you
I
need two
don't.
fullbacks.
No.
I reckon he's the man. So there was a question later on about him and whether or not he's still a buy, but we can touch on it now while we do. What's the team name, by the way?
It's Croker. What is it? Croker for Origin.
Croker for
Love it.
Origin.
I
Love
think it's
it.
called Croker for Origin.
Yeah. Speaking of dreams,
Yeah.
Dream the Dream. Love it.
I change it every year. It's Croker for Origin, I'm pretty sure.
So Dream Buller is the gift that keeps on giving. He's 570k. He has back-to-back tons, break-even of negative 56. So there's a stack more money incoming. People that didn't get on him early, this is like proving a season-defining play, and there were no signs that said he was a must-have. So like you can see why people missed out on him. There's no knock on the door. I bought him after his first price rise, so I'd missed the first 82k. He's now gone up 369k.
Wow.
Yeah. He could be like 750k in a couple of weeks. And
okay.
like you could nearly.
It's good
He
tips.
might be like a sideways trade from him to say back to Latrell Mitchell post Origin or something like that.
I was going to say I want to get my notes up out, but then I realised we are recording.
For me, Jelisa, I think I got Buller last week.
All right.
I was late to the party, but I don't regret it, and
Yeah.
I still think you'd get him. He plays the bye
Okay.
next week.
Titans this week as well.
Yeah,
so
I
probably
think you
can't
just get him,
be-
ride his cash, and then reassess later
Okay.
as part of your rebuild.
Yep.
I think you'll fit it well.
My rebuild.
I reckon he's the man. So at the Panthers, Nathan Cleary out 6 weeks, it sounds like. So Sell, we'll get to more on him later. Jack Cogger comes into the half. Still no Sonny Luke at the Panthers. Jacob Kiraz named for the Doggies. Spy, he was laid out last week from an injury at training and hyperextension with the elbow, I believe it was. You just give it 1 week and see how he comes back, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you can grab him this week, but I think it'd be nice just to see how he's looking and how the Doggies are looking heading into their they'll play next week on the bye. So yeah, I don't mind if you want to grab him now, you can, but happy to wait.
Yeah, so I think late on him, and then Bulldogs have availability round. They play round 16 and 19, so he looks a terrific buy, but I think the break-even isn't too high. So I think wait till next week. Regan Campbell-Gillard back early for the Eels, which is just para-needed him. Potentially a sneaky one for the Blues. Probably a bit soon, but we need middles. Jelisa, Dylan Brown. I believe he's going to court or something or other tomorrow to sort out his shenanigans. What do you got for us?
Well, he's obviously been named, but then he's not part of the automatic stand-down policy, but there's still that discretion there from the NRL because of the any alleged offence that involves women or children.
Yeah.
So he could still be ruled out. I imagine maybe they're waiting till it goes to court tomorrow for that first appearance. So, it's a hard one for Supercoach to decide what to do. But, yeah.
I reckon we'll know by Friday.
I mean, we should
I imagine you would.
Post-court,
I imagine. Well, I think logistically, because then the Eels have to sort out what they're doing. So,
we'll know what's happening.
Yeah.
So, essentially, we'll have to find out by the end of the week, one would imagine, but Spy at 815k is owned by a big percentage of super coaches, but I think it's as simple as if he plays this week, you obviously hold, and if he's ruled out, again, we'll reassess word, but probably a sell.
I'd probably go anything, say for example, he had a 2 or 3 week suspension, I'd keep him. Anything more than 5, you'd sell him. Something along those lines. But
Okay.
I don't mind holding him for a few weeks.
Hold and reassess information later on in the week. Now, let's get stuck into the halves because Nathan Cleary gone long term. Dylan Brown looming as a sell. Straight away, my head went to Mitchell Moses. He just ticks every box just about. But then I read a report that, I don't know if it was directly Freddie or someone in around the camp saying that Mitchy Moses is in the frame for Nathan Cleary's number 7 spot. And there are just so many issues around the halves spot for Supercoach at the moment because Moses isn't a buy if he plays Origin, essentially, I don't think. The other thing is that if I think Nicho Hines plays 7 for the Blues, surely, but he may not. If he doesn't, and let's say they do go with Adam Reynolds or they go with Mitchy Moses, I think it showed last game that Nicho Hines was not a great selection at number 14 because he really covers fullback and the halves. So I would not be surprised to see Nico miss out on Blues selection if he's not starting half. I reckon Matty Burton comes in and plays 14.
I think it could actually have ramifications, not just for your halves, but also if you put, say, Nico in and then there's that bench space, they could put Damien Cook on the bench too. So that's another... Or maybe there's Adam Reynolds. It's such a hard one because I think Moses is probably the most unlikely option to play for the Blues.
Yeah.
I think Adam Reynolds, Nico Hines are looking like the most likely. Yeah. And then potentially then Damien Cook comes in as their hooker, which a genuine hooker on the bench then you've got. Which we missed.
Which brings Cody Walker into calculation.
Exactly.
So it's like...
There's so much to unfold.
Yeah, there's so much.
Because then if you like your combinations, well then you go, okay, Adam Reynolds, Cody Walker and Cook, and then Hines misses out completely. I find it hard to believe that Hines would miss out altogether.
Yeah.
I think he's...
there somewhere.
Yeah, he's there somewhere.
So, and that's it. So, for anyone that doesn't know Cody Walker, if there wasn't the origin risk, he'd probably loom as probably the obvious buy, but he's right in that origin frame.
Yeah.
So the Bunnies don't play round 16 anyway, to be fair, but if he was to get picked, he'd likely miss round 19 due to origin. Then the Bunnies have the buy in round 20. He's top dollar. Is it worth it? The fact that the Bunnies are humming along, they've just seen 2 players go down injured, along with Latrell Mitchell, who had a little calf tweak. They don't really need to risk players backing up from Origin. It'd be interesting to see their thought process go post-Origin too.
Just quietly, everyone's going to panic after Nath as well. I think you'll see way more restings post-Origin.
Yes.
After that hammy, it just would not shock me.
Yeah. Yeah, true. The Rabbitohs in particular, they have a very conservative approach this year where if I've noticed with Latrell, they just will not risk him which is great because they're obviously looking at the premiership.
Yeah.
But they're very conservative in resting people if they've got any kind of niggle because they don't have to risk it at the moment.
For sure, not at all. That's the luxury of being up top of the table. So, Spy, the way I'm looking at it is so much uncertainty. So, there's a question from Samuel Shembry, and he says, "Hey, legends, is it viable to wait on selling Cleary this week? My knee-jerk reaction would be to sell to Moses, but also think I could wait and see who makes Origin or not. Is halfback a position you want to capitalise on every week? I have Hines and Cleary. Cheers. What do you think? Could you hold Cleary a week?"
Well, I probably am. I don't mind the idea. We'll know Origin teams. When do we find our Origin teams?
They go into camp next Tuesday.
So this Sunday night, Monday. By next week, we'll know Origin teams and we can plan the whole next month of everything. I think you hold Cleary, sell Brown. But even then, if you could hold both, if you've got a strong 17, you can make your moves next week on all this.
So why I'm sort of thinking I'll probably wait. It's one issue is that I've got Phoenix Crossland as my backup half, who was actually unreal his last game 2 weeks ago for the Knights. However, some really fortunate attacking stats came his way. But he played 80 minutes hooker, based well, but Kurt Mann's also back in the fray there. So, look, I don't really want to play him. But he's a solid plug anyway. But I don't want to go early and not be able to get Nico next week if potentially he's available.
Yeah.
So, let's say I got Mitchy Moses for Nathan Cleary, and then I was eyeing maybe someone like Jerome Hughes this week as my backup half to go in with Phoenix Crossland. But then if I was selling, say, Dylan Brown and Phoenix went down to the halves, you could potentially miss out on Nico. But it's just...
I reckon if I was you, I'd buy Mitch. In the unlikely event Mitch gets named instead of Nico, Mitch could potentially score 100 this week versus the Dogs, Monday Arvo, make about 90k, then you can flip him for Nico for basically one trade next week. And if Mitch doesn't get named for Origin, then you've already got him, and his break-even's very low. That's
the other thing I was thinking is I've got good numbers for next week, and I've got a shit ton of money in the bank. So I'm thinking I could just go Phoenix Crossland straight to Nico and not play.
Like it.
It's about 500k, but in saying that, Phoenix is going to make good money this week, so maybe that's the play.
I feel like this convo shows you how much is potentially going to change.
That's why it's the hot topic.
Sit on your heels.
Yeah.
Sit on your heels if you can.
What are you
thinking?
Me.
I'm thinking I'll hold. I own Nico still, so I can play Nico. So I'm sweet, but I'm going to hold Cleary for sure. unless I get word that Mitch isn't playing because I want him for that Monday game. And then I'd probably sell Brown pending his news. I'd sell Brown before Cleary, put it like that.
Yeah. Jelisa, who do you have in your halves? You got Adam Reynolds at halfback.
I've got Adam. I've got halves that could really bring me undone in Origin. I've got Adam Reynolds and Cody Walker. So Cody Walker's my 5'8",
so they could go whack and pick
exactly.
both.
They could just pick them both, and then I'm a bit stuffed.
You must have trades up the sleeve after your
I've got so many
early
trades
season
up
blow
there.
up. Here's the benefits right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. I do have trades up my sleeve, so I'm not worried about the trades. I'm just
You've probably got about 5 more boosts than I do.
Yes. So the way I'm sitting on it at the moment, I sort of touched on it there, but waiting on Dylan Brown. I've also got for a lot of Joey Manu owners out there, if Brown does become a sell by the back end of this week, can I just go Joey Manu up to 5'8" as well if there's a CT dub or even potentially via Jules a fullback that you were keen on? So options there. But yeah, the way and it's good to speak through it, Spy, because I'm thinking maybe, I'm with you, Jelisa, that I don't think Mitchy Moses plays Origin, even with the talk around it.
I don't think there's enough justification in, I think if you're going to go for someone who has made their case, you're going to go for Nico Hines. If you're going to go for combinations, you're going to go for that Rabbitohs combination. So I just don't think there's enough of a case to overrule either of those.
Might be controversial, but I actually really think Mitch should play. But I'm not Freddie, so don't worry about that. There's more discussion around that off air. There is one. Sorry, yeah.
No, you go, mate.
Just there's nothing you can do, right? I've done a little trade with Brown here. If your Schuster's in your back row, you can flick him to back up 5'8". Then next week, you can decide who your 5'8 would be and flick Schuster back up. So you can jig things around a little bit there if you want.
So there's a few back rolls that I'm keen on this week, and that's another option that I've got up the sleeve. So it's,
Then decide your 5'8 later.
Just on Mitchy Moses, 760k, break even 14. The Eels draw there. The Doggies this week, Manly next week without all of Manly's Origin stars. Then the Dolphins, who are a little bit depleted at the moment, round 17. They play round 19 as well, following their round 18 bye, where they're the only team in the bye, so you can cover it. Round 19, the Warriors, who will be at full strength, Titans, Cowboys. It's just such a good draw, so I think it's Eel season.
I may go early on him, just with his low break even.
Yeah.
And just hope he doesn't get picked.
Yeah. Anyway, decisions to make. Moving on to Paddy and George from Mortgage Choice SCW.
Yeah, well, my boys.
Good.
Yeah,
They've missed you.
Yeah, I know. I've missed them.
Yeah. Do you know what, Spy? Over the next 12 months, an estimated 60% of all fixed-rate mortgages are going to expire. Absolute madness. This means that for a lot of you out there, you haven't felt the impacts of all the consecutive rate rises that have been dominating the media talk lately. I've spoken with Paddy and George about this in detail. They've told me that a lot of their clients still have a rate with a 1 or 2 in front of it. The average rate is now around 5%. Don't even know if it's related, but there was another rate rise this afternoon.
Saw that.
Could have been. In which case, people will be in all sorts. So what do you do about it? You go and see Paddy and George from Mortgage Choice SCW. You can save the repayments. Mortgage repayments are about to increase on average by an extra $737 per month. A lot of extra money you have to find in your budget. If you haven't had a look at when your fixed rate expires, or if you're worried about when it does, go and see Paddy and George. You'll save yourself $129 on a free consult because you're an SC Playbook listener. So mention SC Playbook when you do get in contact. To do that, flick them a message on Instagram at Pat and George Mortgage Choice, all one word, or call them on 02 9521 1611 today. All that plus their emails and whatnot at scplaybook.com.au in our articles. Now, hot topics of the week, the most traded in players. This will have jigged around a bit due to the hectic team news that hasn't quite been updated, but number 4, Keon Kaloamatangi, 614k, break even 42. Jelisa, I'll start with you because it's another one that I would be waiting because he's not going to make that much money this week anyway. He was brilliant on the weekend, but he had that dream matchup running at Jaden Cam where he ran over the top of him. But he's another one that's got to be in the Origin frame, doesn't he?
Yeah, you would think so. It's funny. So this is what I find really hard sometimes about Supercoach is that you can get a little lured into a player just having one really good run, and I think that that's the mistakes that I have made in my very short time doing it. So
Harley Smith-Shields had a big game in New South Wales Cup, and you're like, in.
I saw him named at fullback, and I went, yes.
In the trial.
Yeah. I don't know what you've got against Harley.
I love Harley. I was like,
what's Harley done to you?
Just because I was waiting to see your team, thinking
he's better looking than him.
I was thinking, I bet there's going to be just a little bit. I was like, I bet there'll be a shade of green in this. And when I saw Harley, I was like, there it is.
Yeah, so I think he is one of those that maybe people have got a little excited about.
Yeah. So
doesn't play 16 or 20, so I think he's just to wait till round 17, see how the Blues are looking. I think it could be a bit early for him.
Jelisa, I think you're spot on, though. I think it's just chasing last week's points. For a bloke also coming off injury prior to that.
Yes,
so.
true.
Now, moving on to the next most traded in player of the week. Boys, there's a habit there. Boys and girls.
Boys and girls.
There's been a lot of blokes in this panel, yeah. Sean Johnson. We didn't mention him in halfbacks, but 642K. 127 points last week, 71 point average for the season. Spy doesn't play round 16 for the Warriors, but I think we're all pretty well covered for round 16. So round 19 where the Warriors do play.
I didn't even think about Sean Johnson.
Yeah, he's humming.
Yeah, he is. What is their... Now, I was about to say, what does their draw look like? Is that something that you take into account as an expert? Because I do all the time.
Yeah. Big time.
Especially halfbacks, yeah.
Yeah.
And goal kicker.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
like, Mitchie...
Because I've always been doing that, and then I feel like, is that a bit of a trap, though?
So, mainly with backline players. So, if you're looking at forwards who have their big work rates and, you buy them and they're going to Supercoach off the back of tackling a lot, running a lot, having some tackle breaks, offloads, if they're in a side that have got an easy matchup and they're going to put on points, can often be counterproductive to scoring because... Let's take Isaiah Papali'i 2 weeks ago, for example, when the Tigers put on 66 against the Cowboys. He scored really poorly just because he didn't get in any of the attacking stats from that game. They somehow went around him.
Yeah.
And because there was less ball in play with all the tries and stoppages, he got through less work, so he scored really poorly.
Yeah.
But as a backline player, attacking stats are everything.
Yes,
so when we mentioned Mitch Moses before and his draw, you're like... They're games where he can go 100 plus in every single one of them.
Yeah, because obviously, you take it into account when you're looking at buys and all that kind of thing. But I often take their opposition into account, and then I wonder if I'm being lured into a bit of a trap of my own.
So I'll give you another example on that, and this is the Newcastle Knights. Two players that I have been watching for a little bit, and it's Kalen Ponga and Greg Marju. Now, I was really keen to get Marju into my team as the Knights play next week, the second major buy round. And I looked at their draw. The Broncos this week at Suncorp, full strength. The Roosters next week on the buy round, who Roosters have been missing a few, not horrible, but still hard enough. Into the Panthers at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith the week after. So I see a draw like that, I'm like, they could be real shutouts for the Knights and two players who require attacking stats.
So, what do the Warriors look like? I'm actually now contemplating Sean Johnson.
So the Warriors...
While you look, I'll tell you my thoughts on SJ. So SJ is my favourite ever footballer.
Yeah.
Probably alongside...
What?
Yeah.
Probably alongside Nathan Blacklock. Different eras, but I like...
With all respect to SJ, I haven't heard anyone say that.
So I followed
SJ fanboy.
him for his younger years and before, up till he broke his ankle in about 2017.
Oh, and then you were like, I'm done.
No, I just got heartbroken because it was never the same until this year. I personally cannot bring him in because I don't want to jinx him. I'm actually I'm really superstitious.
Right.
And it'd kill me if I brought him in and he hurt himself this week. So I'm not even looking at him.
That is
So
wild.
you guys can discuss. I'm not
So
touching
you're just...
I'm not touching him. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
So draw-wise, Raiders this week, on any other given week, I'd be like, Raiders' defence has been a bit leaky of late.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders is going to be going to the game this weekend, I think the stadium is going to erupt for Croak. I just think they will be on the Raiders.
You going?
I'm going.
Same.
You going?
Yeah, I've got the day off on Friday.
Perfect. Yeah. Defensively, the Raiders this week should be phenomenal. How could they not be up?
So don't love that matchup this week. Bye next week. Dragons, Rabbitohs, Parramatta round 19. So
Rabbitohs and Paras are
it's
tough ones.
It's okay.
I don't mind Para. I think they're a little bit leaky, but South is tricky. I think that's an okay run that personally I'd look at and go, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm just neutral on it. Yeah.
So maybe SJ. Join the fan club.
He's got a good little price there.
Yeah, he is. Played so good on the weekend.
Oh, it's so good to see.
I
can't quite believe it.
For you.
It's like when Rafa Nadal won the Aussie Open last year. I was like, he's actually going to win it. He's going to win it. I thought he was dead and buried.
That was the same feeling.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Okay.
So I didn't bet on Nadal either because I can't do it to him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you are superstitious.
He's an odd man, Jelisa. You get used to it, but don't worry. Two that were really... I'm pretty keen on this week, and I'm keen to get both of your thoughts on them. And it's the number 6 most traded in John Bateman, $642,000, break even 11. Number 7, Britton Nikora, $702K, break even 90. Both relatively similar in that I think Bateman has the better base stats, the work rate. Nikora, his work rate's been good this season, improved in recent years, a bit more attacking upside, particularly the Sharks, who, speaking of draws, they have a terrific draw. Spy, I'll start with you. Are you interested in either of these two? If so, which one?
I'd love both, to be honest. I had a good look at them before. Nikora is just flying, getting better and better. Combo with Hines is fantastic. Sharks run home. I don't think there's many buys. I think he's just a lock-in season keeper, so I really like him.
Sharks play around 16 and 19, those two major bye weeks.
Yeah, which is magic. They missed 17. So just for everyone listening, round 17 is a little bit tricky again. Just be aware of that if you're stacking up guys from round 17.
Sharkies, Dogs, Tigers on the bye.
Yeah, so Bateman's in the same boat. I really like him. His work rate's huge. He spent some time in the middle last week, which will have him even busier.
Huge. So when we talk about, sorry to cut you off, but last week the super pods on the podcast were Adam Darusi had John Bateman. I had Isaiah Papali'i. I still think they're both good buys, to be honest. And Papali'i's a lot cheaper, but Bateman played something like the last 30-odd minutes in the middle, which is so big for work rate. And Spy watched the Tigers very closely. Edge back rise outside Luke Brooks. It ain't a go.
I don't know if Brooksy's best asset is putting his back rower in space.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that. So, whereas Bateman, he finds his own ball. You don't have to worry about who's playing where or what's happening. He just gets his hands on the footy and goes. And his tackle count is massive every week. So, I think Bateman's a rock-solid buy for someone like Nikora, who is still really solid, but a little bit more high and low. So
you prefer who of the two? I'm
probably going to take Nikora, but only just. There's not much in it. Yeah.
Jelisa?
Well, Bateman, this is maybe a little bit controversial, but I am avoiding anyone over the next few weeks who's, when you're having to trade blokes in and out because of Origin, I'm avoiding any injury risk.
Fair.
So, and I don't want to jinx him, so that's...
not a bad strategy by any means,
He's been a little bit, he's had those issues at the start of the season and a few niggles here and there. I would probably just avoid him for that reason.
And Spy's more superstition, but I know he's strung out this year, but I'm in the similar boat for Sean Johnson. I'm just like, for a bloke that doesn't play the next major bye week with his injury history, I'm just a little bit hesitant to do it. So Johnny Bateman, as you said, he was in all sorts starting this season. He just looks so underdone, but he is looking fitter and
on the flip side, he might just be getting better and better because he is getting healthy. So
maybe.
Tino for Suamalawi, 700.
Just quickly, you don't like him because he left the Raiders. You won't bring him in.
I won't talk about that.
That's okay.
He had a little jab. I think he had a jab at the Raiders on the Matty John show.
I think that's enough reason not to bring him in. No, I didn't say it this week.
They said, would you ever move to Canberra? And he just straight up said no. And I went...
Yeah, stuff him.
Keep him out of your side there. You don't need him.
He's done.
Everyone else, go for it.
I like John Bateman, but I will hold a grudge.
I like John Bateman, but also he's dead to me and I'm never speaking of him again. Tino for Suamalawi. I just thought...
I wanted Tino. I can't afford him. Can you fix that?
Well, yeah, you've got...
We probably can.
You've got...
Latrell?
Latrell.
Yeah,
Latrell.
I know.
So you Latrell...
I can't trade Latrell for Tino. I've got to make a few
I haven't
moves.
checked, but I'm nearly willing to bet that you've got 5 boost lefts.
I do.
Yeah.
We'll make it
Actually,
work.
no, I've got 4. 4, yeah.
Okay, so I can, if you want to use one of them this week, do that. And so you can go...
And do a bit of Jenga.
You can go, plenty of Jenga. Trell down to Buller. That'll free up about 350k-ish.
Yep.
And that should give you the bank to go to get Tino in if you want. I will say that I don't like the buy because just because he's so expensive and the top. Look, you're obviously focusing more on the head-to-head side of things, rather than the overall, which is sweet. So as an overall buy, definitely not.
I don't have a good long-term. This again says a lot about me as a person. I don't have a good long-term strategy.
Oh, you're sitting next to the right bloke in the spy. He's got his trades planned for 2027.
No, I've stopped this year. That's a myth. I'm
I'm
too busy in life now. I'm just freewheeling.
I'm a short term, like I want the instant gratification.
Yeah.
And that brings me unstuck.
So the Titans don't play round.
The draw's actually all right.
It's good for head-to-head.
Yeah.
Good for a head-to-head player, which is you. So, yeah, he'll obviously miss next week in round 19, but you don't really care if you lose those weeks.
Outside of that, though, he actually doesn't miss any pending backups. The first thing I wrote on Tino was no, and then I looked, I'm like, hang on, he actually played 60 minutes on the weekend, though.
Yeah.
He's gone ton, he's firing.
So. He didn't play huge minutes in Origin either, so it's like, maybe he does
he
back
might
and play
just,
good minutes.
outside those buy rounds, which you can cover him for.
Yeah.
I don't mind him. It's just risky
I had
for
Tino
us.
early and I got rid of him, which is annoying because he was doing well for me. Again, good strategy.
Jake Turpin, number 14 most traded in, 266k, break even 3. Brendan Smith out for a... How long's Cheese gone forward?
Round 19, he's due back on NRL Cash Ward, so it's not that long. It's 4 or 5 weeks. Just means you got to use 2 trades to get him in then back out. I don't like it for that reason.
I'm interested in most traded in Cook.
So he's 13th most traded in.
I'm interested in that because
Madness.
Origin.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
You spotted that easy, don't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I wouldn't be trading in Cookie, and the Bunnies don't play next week anyway.
Yes.
So just Turpin, like Sandon Smith came off the bench as well on the weekend, so he didn't play maximum minutes. I think he's okay, but I don't love him.
But you need 2 trades because you're not going to run him as backup or when Cheese is back. Unless you need cash.
So people be going and say Sonny Luke to him, or
I'd rather just find the cash for Sonny to someone else who's going to play all year.
Reid Marnie has also been named. Now he's had 2 bad weeks because he's been battered and bruised. He's the 10th most traded out currently. But the Doggies play around 16 and 19. There's no value in him at the price.
No way in a million years do you sell Reid. He's even if he doesn't play this week with the head knock, he'll be back, plays 16, 19, does miss round 17, but he's cheap as chips. I've owned him for a large part of the season. He's pretty good. He's busy at that price. He'll get you through to around 20 or something and then reassess after that.
In the most traded out category, Zach Hosking, look, he's not...
I've got him. Talk to me. Give me your thoughts.
Hold, for sure.
Yeah, just till after round 16.
Plays next week where there'll be no Liam Martin, Isaiah Yeo. He'll play 80 minutes. I'm pretty confident
He
of
could
it.
have a big week in that round 16,
And his minutes the last 2 weeks, so his work rate's been down a bit. There's been no attacks, but he's still played 63 minutes. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So even if you don't play him in his 17 this week, I think that's fine. But hold till next week, flip him after round 16.
He's not going to lose too much cash now, so I agree. I like the hold on him.
Jelisa, Billy Smith, 5th most traded out, 386 grand. He's killed me 2 seasons in a row, Billy. He killed those first 2 weeks, traded him in, got excited about it.
So do you still have him? Or
I've still got him. I'm holding till next week because the Roosters play, but he's not doing it again.
You know what? He was centimetres from 2 bits of magic on the weekend. He offloaded out the back and the winger dropped it.
Yeah.
He made a try assist, line break assist. Off a scrum, he pinned the ears and they just grabbed him. He would have scored under the posts. I think he's got a score coming.
Yeah.
Just hold for now at that price.
Yeah, I mean, I would say trade him, except that the price is so low.
Yeah.
That it kind of doesn't make sense.
He's right. I'd be very reluctant to play him in my 17 against this week against Penrith, but I'm with you, Spire. I think there's another good score in there somewhere, and he plays round 16. So
his
hold
ball
for
carry
that.
is so strong. I think he's got some points.
Hold for that and reassess after.
Yeah, you can sell him after, no dramas if you need to. But yeah,
what about Tyrone Peach? Is an interesting one because again, Penrith play next week, round 16, where you think he maybe comes in, but Trell and Turbo probably the Origin centres, so Stephen Crichton may not be in Origin, which means Peach might not have a spot.
Yeah, or a bench spot. I don't mind selling him.
I'm going to wait and just
hold if you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're probably not missing a heap if you have to get rid of him now.
The better SC Playbook multi of the week, Jared Croker, of course, 40 plus official fantasy points and anytime try scorer.
I thought you were going to say 40-plus points
I was
in the
gonna
game.
say-
I was like, load up.
Yeah.
20 from 20.
Why not?
5 try assists.
Now,
Rude
look,
if they stop him.
I don't actually have the odds to that one yet. Better haven't got back to me. So hold strong on that one, but we will get the odds up and put it out across our social media channels. To follow along with that play, you can find the link to better in any of our articles at scplaybook.com.au or in our YouTube description. By going through those channels, that lets Better know that we sent you, so that'd be much appreciated if you are linking up with them. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Round 15, trades and skippers. Spy, I'll start with you, mate. What do you got?
I've noted 2 down here. One's Cleary to Mitch Moses, as we discussed. Just want to see how the waters are going in that sense later in the week and see if Freddie gives any hints. I've got to find something out. He won't, but I might take the punt early on that. Otherwise, just Dylan Brown penning that news to Nikora. I could do both.
Jelisa, you've done plenty around Origin camps. You could be the go-to for this. The scoop.
What, into getting the scoop?
Yeah.
Well, they don't go into camp till next Tuesday, though, so I can't help you
true.
this time. But I would get Moses into your side because I just don't think he's going to be a feature in Origin. I think that's probably, maybe I'm playing it a little bit too safe, but I think that's the safest bet that you're going to make.
Fair
There you
enough.
go.
Noted.
Skippers?
Skippers, Buller into Nico. Yeah, Buller's got the Titans. It's Thursday night. It's always like low-scoring Thursday nights, we seem to think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just like this.
Well, you've
It might
noticed a
be a
pattern.
myth. It's
Unless
a Desi Creek
unless
thing.
it's the Titans who can't defend.
If he has like 30 carries, there's just not many great options.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters what happens. I'll be captaining Nico. That's basically it.
Yeah. I captained Reynolds, but...
Yeah, so that was the interesting one.
Okay.
I like it this
You do?
week.
Okay, because that's what I wanted feedback
You know what?
on this.
On nearly any other week, I wouldn't. But
I just thought the whole Origin, like playing for a spot, could lift.
and I just think the Broncos are playing such good footy.
Yeah.
They're full strength. They're back at Suncorp. The Knights have been certainly better this season, but their defence is still pretty leaky.
Yeah.
I think Broncos could put a score on.
Yeah, right.
5:30 game's good for that as well. Should be nice and dry up at Suncorp.
Yep, good.
Yeah, I don't mind
And how do we go with trades there? So I'm feeling
Well, no,
boost
I'm
vibes.
waiting for you to fix it.
Yeah, okay. So Trell to Buller.
Okay.
Trell to Buller.
Okay.
Who else do we have in there?
Do you reckon put Buller in the starting side and put Chance on the bench, or
Depends who you want to cap. Well, you'll be captaining Adam Reynolds. They're relatively early in the round. When do they
Buller's
play?
first up, so you can just play him at
Yep.
fullback, play Chans off your bench. Find a way to get Tino in for you if you like him.
yeah?
Yep.
Well, that'll free up my money.
Yeah. Get Tino
And then
in.
maybe Cleary to SJ.
Yeah,
Or
That could be your
Moses.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah, done.
SJ or Moses.
yeah, yeah. I can't go S. You can't tell me to go SJ after you're gonna jinx him.
I can tell others too.
You just can't do it.
I just can't do it.
Right.
For the Kuma Stallions, David Fifita. I reckon I'm going to flip him. I'm getting rid of him.
Yep.
It pissed me off watching him on the weekend and not back and just not back at my gut. So I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
stuff it.
Yep.
If he does that again post Origin and like he comes off the bench, I'm like, see ya.
Poor bloke's got a concussion.
He's been so good to me. Yeah, I know.
Ruthless on this pod.
And you're just giving it to
Yeah,
him.
well, look, we have high standards at the Stallions, so Fifita gone, and then I'm tossing up between John Bateman and Britton Nikora. I think I'm leading towards Nikora just for that attacking upside. I want a piece of the Sharks, and I think he's probably the man. The other thing is, I mean, you touch on injury risk. I think there is a bit with Bateman, although he's coming good. Forgot to touch on earlier, but this week I really want, because I'm flipping someone like Nathan Cleary, I'm potentially flipping Dylan Brown at some stage, Dave Fifita, blokes I'm going to want back. I don't want too many just Origin period buys that I'm going to need to flip later. I want keepers.
Get keepers weekend.
So
100%.
Ronaldo Mulitalo is also on my radar, probably for next week.
Yep.
But yes, I'm probably leaning towards Nicker at this stage. And then I think I like the chat, both of you chat around Mitchy Moses and just going clear to him. If Nico does have me available next week, Phoenix to Nico.
Nice.
Yeah. Captains, VC Dream Buller, C Cody Walker. Day game against the, who have they got?
Dragons.
Dragons.
3 o'clock Saturday. Yep.
Like it.
Dangerous.
Like it. Few listening questions before we wrap it up for NRL Supercoach round 15. Jelisa, Slow Hank, is it considered cowardly to uninstall the app?
No. you're knowing your worth.
Yeah.
And if you have, you've had a bad run, just uninstall.
Cut ties early, make plans for next season.
I'll give my take on this. I'm an advocate for mental health and doing what you need to do. But yes.
Question from name cannot be blank. Do you think holding Valley is a bad move? I was considering it before the 150, but now I'm pretty convinced that he's a hold. 18 trades left before this week's trades, and Cleary and Hosking, who I think need to go first, and potentially a Dylan Brown-sized hold too. Sounds like I've done a lot of whingy on this episode, but that's all right. It's because of the ins and outs and what's happened on the weekend, but sold Val before the Origin week because I thought it was a smart move.
Yeah.
Like, he's missing 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I was so patient with him all season when everyone else sold, and then he gets 150 the week after Origin.
Yes.
Spy, he'll miss this week. He'll miss round 16. Could you hold?
Oh, I would after the 150. Just ride his cash.
Yep.
I think he's just proven that he's definitely a keeper for the run home. I'm sure you can get by without him this week and next week when you need 13 players. Yeah, I'd be holding him for sure.
Jelisa, a question from Leroy. Will Dylan Edwards be affected by Cleary being out? Dylan, who a lot of people jumped on last week at over 800k, it was a lot of money. And he scored really poorly last week. So he's dropping in cash. Roosters game this week, which, I think they pumped him, was it earlier this season, put 40 or 50 on them or something. So I wouldn't put it as a bad matchup. Edwards is one that I'm potentially eyeing off next week and maybe going Teddy to Dylan Edwards. How do you think Dylan Edwards goes with Cleary out?
Yeah, I actually had this chat with someone today. We were talking about Dylan Edwards and potential of if he ever gets an Origin crack. And it's funny with these players where they're in such a good team, you almost need to see them without those players surrounding to see.
It's intriguing.
Yeah, it really is.
It's an opportunity for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, it really is for him to either stand up or I guess go a bit quiet. But I think it's one of those ones where you're not going to go chasing him, but if you had him, I wouldn't be concerned.
Yeah. Spy?
Yeah. I think you've nailed it. Spot on. I don't think I'd chase him just yet. Just that combination with Cogger, he hasn't played with him before. I think the combination's more than how good Dylan can be is probably the issue there. So hold for now. Don't mind it next week, depending how things go this weekend.
Yeah, big break even, but certainly one, considering for next week. Question from Luke Richardson. Tommy Turbo a throw at the stumps for a trade-in. Negative break even. At home against an understrength Dolphins, high ceiling captain option. Knows he plays Origin, but could partner Buller for the rest of the season. Spy, I'll go to you, mate. Plays this week, said it's a great matchup this week. He's coming off his last NRL Supercoach game, was that monster against the Raiders. Throw at the stumps or not?
No, not for me. Just having a look here. Plays this weekend. Assuming he won't play the Origin round, won't back up. Plays the Roosters round 18. Origin won't back up. That's 2 games between now and round 21. Also, the Dolphins, since when are they an easy matchup? I think I'm actually looking at the odds of this game. I don't know how they're 3-1. Load up. Yeah. I think it could be a tight one at Brookie. Tommy could go well, but for what it's worth for 2 games in the next 6 or 7, not for me.
Question.
Tommy is a risk in the foreseeable future, either with Origin or how he pulls up from Origin as well.
And every chance of getting rested after Origin 2 and 3.
Very much so, yeah.
In fact, I would be surprised.
Definitely.
I would be surprised if he backed up with his body. Question, Jelisa, from who we got? Luke, not Lukey. Paul Capes. Need to offload Tom Gilbert in the front row. Already have Hassan Tarpany. Would Tohu Harris or Corey Horsburgh be the better option?
Oh, well, Corey Horsburgh, you have to look going forward, I guess, after. I'm still feel like Corey Horsburgh is going to find his way into Origin somehow. So I'm not a fan of taking on Corey Horsburgh just purely for that. I guess you got to look at. I haven't looked at what their draw is looking like after that, but I would stay away from Horsburgh.
Yeah, every chance at Origin. So I also think Tohu's a pretty good plug into the front row forward spot there. Gareth Kidd, can I get another shout out for purchasing Katoni Staggs? Gareth threw in a question last week saying that he was on the beers last Saturday night and traded him in and had his heart broken by Katoni Staggs, like we all have. As only Katoni Staggs can do, he bounced back the week later with a vintage performance.
Went about his business.
He was 98 on point. He was so good.
He was good.
And the last question from Drew Gamble, is the Spies team still, quotation marks, building nicely?
Mate, we're built. We have been built.
Please.
End of discussion.
I'm rebuilding for the 2025.
Yeah, we're built. It's like a house that has no bathrooms, toilets, anything. Your house, Spy. We'll wrap
Got a
that
water
up.
slide though into the pool. So.
We'll wrap that one up for the SC Playbook podcast for NRL Supercoach Round 15. Spy, thank you, mate.
Thanks, guys.
And Jelisa, thank you very much. Nailed the
you.
debut.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in.